Hello again, everybody. I'm Ed Robinson, and welcome to another edition of Robinson Responds. I'm here to give you my thoughts on the night, Sunday, and Monday Night Football game of the 2024 NFL regular season, plus some moves being made, not just in the trade deadline, but in the coaching world. All right, so let's start off quickly with Monday Night Football. What a thriller it was at Arrowhead Stadium in overtime with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs would win 30-24. Running back Kareem Hunt scored the game-winning touchdown. He also had 27 carries for 106 yards. Patrick Mahomes completed 34 out of 44 passes for 291 yards and 3 touchdown passes. Travis Kelce had 14 catches for 100 yards. DeAndre Hopkins had 8 catches for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. And on the losing end for the Buccaneers, quarterback Baker Mayfield completed 23 out of 31 passes for 200 yards and 2 touchdown passes. All right, some takeaways that I have from this game. Number one, the Kansas City Chiefs are still undefeated. And I can see why they're still undefeated. Isaiah Pacheco, still on injured reserve. No problem. Kareem Hunt, so complimentary to the Chiefs' running game. Kareem, this is his second stint with the team, so he pretty much knows the ins and outs of this Kansas City Chiefs team. Also, Juju Smith-Schuster is hurt. No problem. The Chiefs made a play, making a big trade and getting DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre gets 2 touchdowns in the win over the Buccaneers. One thing about Kansas City, they are very resourceful, and they also have a plug-and-play mentality and also a next-man-up mentality. Pacheco and Smith-Schuster go out. Guess what? Kareem and DeAndre step up to the plate. Patrick Mahomes, a once-in-a-lifetime talent. And with the game going to overtime, I knew, and a lot of football fans knew, that you don't want to give Kansas City extra time to do what they need to do. We saw what happened this past February in the Super Bowl, and we saw it in the Monday night win over the Buccaneers. When you give Patrick Mahomes and that team more minutes to try to do something, or give them extra time to try to win a game, oh man, all bets are off. All bets are off. Don't ever bet against Patrick and the Chiefs, especially if the game has to go into overtime. Mahomes' magic is definitely going to deliver. And we saw Patrick do what Patrick does best, right? We're watching someone just entering his prime and just looking fabulous, not just in the contest during regulation, but going into the overtime period. And we saw Travis Kelce finally get touches. He had 14 catches for 100 yards. Travis had been in and out so far this year. I think this game against Tampa Bay is gonna give him more opportunities. This was the game where I believe he emerged from the shadows, and we're going to see a lot more of him going forward. As for Tampa Bay, they fought hard. They had a chance. They had a chance to beat the defending champions. They fell short. When they scored the touchdown, they had an opportunity to try to go for a 2-point conversion. Todd Bowles, the head coach of the Bucs, decided not to, and hey, we saw what happened. We know what the end result is, right? But nevertheless, it was a great game. Kansas City remains the only undefeated team in the NFL. Again, Kansas City, the team is very resourceful. They have this next man up mentality. They have this plug-and-play mentality, and no matter who's down, they find a way to keep the ball rolling and to try to be efficient, not just on the offensive side, but the defensive side as well. And that's one of the reasons why the Kansas City remains the only undefeated team in the NFL. So again, the final score in overtime, the Kansas City Chiefs 30, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 24. Sunday Night Football was a close one between the Indianapolis Colts and the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota would win 21-13. So in this game, Sam Darnold for the Vikings completed 28 out of 34 passes for 290 yards, and he had 3 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. Justin Jefferson had 7 catches for 137 yards. On the losing end for the Colts, quarterback Joe Flacco completed 16 out of 27 passes for 179 yards and an interception. All right, so some takeaways I had from this one. The Vikings, they're for real. And we talk about the top teams in the NFL, Kansas City, Baltimore. You could put Washington in there as well. Also Detroit and Buffalo. And you got to put Minnesota in that conversation as well. And Minnesota against Sam Darnold, solid performance from him. He was able to shake off, him and his team were able to shake off the loss from past Thursday night when they lost to the Los Angeles Rams. So the Vikings seem to be on an upward trend once again. As for the Colts, did they make a decision in benching Anthony Richardson and not letting him have, they're not giving him another shot? Only time will tell. But right now, Joe Flacco seems to be the starting quarterback, and he's going to go into the next game, going to be a tough game against the Buffalo Bills. And Flacco's definitely going to have his work cut out for him because Buffalo's defense has been solid most of the year. And I hope Flacco's offensive line can protect them because you see, well, what you saw in this last Sunday night between the Vikings and the Colts is that Joe Flacco is an old-school NFL pocket passer. He's never been athletic. He's never been mobile. He's never really been one to move around. But he's got 2 things. He's got that strong arm and he's got that accurate arm. So I'm hoping that Joe doesn't take too many hits or take a beating as a result of his offensive line not protecting him from the most part. Because Anthony Richardson, he may get the job back, but right now Joe Flacco is the guy for the Indianapolis Colts. Oh, and also, too, Justin Jefferson. He's still exciting, right? When all else fails, Justin Jefferson is going to give you a show. He is going to give you effort 185%, no lie. And that's why Justin Jefferson, not just one of the best receivers in the league, one of the best players in the league, and always working hard, always consistent, and just continue to be an X factor and a difference maker for that Vikings offense. Also, Aaron Jones made some good runs late in the game as the Vikings iced the game and they put the icing on the cake and declared a victory. So in Sunday Night Football, the Minnesota Vikings beat the Indianapolis Colts 21-13. Also, some other games from Sunday that caught my eye. The Philadelphia Eagles beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 28-23. The Detroit Lions beat the Green Bay Packers 24-14. At overtime, the Los Angeles Rams beat the Seattle Seahawks 26-20. That was a real good game out in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle, man. Matthew Stafford, he still got it. I think he's going to play at least another 3, maybe 5 more years in the league. I think as long as him and Sean McVay are together, I think there's still going to be continued success with those two. The Buffalo Bills beat the Miami Dolphins 30-27. The Washington Commanders, they continue to roll. They beat the New York Giants 27-22. Jaden Daniels most likely will win Offensive Rookie of the Year, but they may have to put him in the MVP talk this year. We know what Lamar Jackson and we know what Derrick Henry has done this year, but you got to put Jaden Daniels in the mix as well. Oh, and with the Miami and Buffalo game, again, the Bills beat the Dolphins 30-27. Kicker Tyler Bass kicked the game-winning field goal. And for much of the game, for really most of the game, Miami had Buffalo on their heels, but Josh Allen, right? Josh Allen and company, and what a talented player that Keon Coleman is. He's been a X factor and a difference maker for that Bills offense. And then we had the Carolina Panthers beat the New Orleans Saints 23-22. Of course, in the first quarter, Saints wide receiver Chris Olave was hit in the head and neck area by a Panthers player that was way too high. Olave was put on a back brace and then was put on a carted off the field and taken to a local hospital in Charlotte. Good news is that Chris, in great spirits, was able to fly back to New Orleans with the team, but we'll get into all the Saints talk in just a bit. And the Atlanta Falcons beat the Dallas Cowboys in a close one, 27-21. In the third quarter, quarterback Dak Prescott suffered a hamstring injury and did not return to the game. And also wide receiver CeeDee Lamb suffered an injury to his AC joint in his right shoulder. But Lamb would finish the game. So again, the Cowboys lose another one, 27-21. All right, so as I mentioned earlier about the New Orleans Saints, it is official. Dennis Allen has been fired. Head coach Dennis Allen fired by the New Orleans Saints after 3.5 seasons. And career head coaching record during this time with the Saints, 18 wins and 25 losses. First year with the team in 2022, record of 7-10, record of 9-8. Didn't make the playoffs. And then after last Sunday's loss against Carolina, finishes with a record of 2-7, fired by the Saints. This was definitely long overdue. I mean, you know, Dennis Allen, his specialty is defense. And for a team like the New Orleans Saints, well, really since the Drew Brees and Sean Payton era, it's all been about the offense. It's all about the offense. And with a team, when you have, like, talented players like a Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Juwan Johnson, Taysom Hill, and, of course, Alvin Kamara, you need an offensive-minded head coach. Now, when Dennis Allen first got the job in 2022, he was not my pick for the Saints. In my opinion, he was not the pick as the Saints head coach. I really thought Eric Bieniemy should have gotten a shot, considering Bieniemy's track record with the Chiefs, being the offensive coordinator, and with the talent that the Saints have on offense. It should have been Bieniemy, but Sean Payton brought it to Saints organization, including Mickey Loomis, the general manager, Gail Benson, the owner of the team, and said, Dennis Allen, he's my successor. And the organization followed suit, and they hired Dennis Allen, and not to success at all. And certainly, again, I don't call for anybody losing their job. I don't call for any celebrations in terms of people getting fired and things of that nature, but it's just been a lot. It's the Saints have just had so much happen to them in that organization. The rebuilding should have started at least the last 3 years of Drew Brees' career. The rebuilding should have started there. And as they say, better late than never. And certainly the Saints, the best that they can do, at least for the next 3 to 5 years, is acquire draft picks. They've got a lot of veterans that have these expensive contracts that are eating up cap space. And even if they were to deal a lot of these vets, the Saints would still be over the salary cap. So their best bet would be get draft picks, start over, and get into rebuilding mode. So the replacement for Dennis Allen will be Darren Rizzi, who is the team's special teams coach. Now, Rizzi, respected. My honest opinion, I really thought that Clint Kubiak should have been the interim head coach. But that's just me. Kubiak is the offensive coordinator for the Saints, but nevertheless, Gail Benson and Mickey Loomis made the decision to fire head coach Dennis Allen, and Darren Rizzi, the special teams coordinator, will be the interim head coach. So we shall see how this pans out, but we're going to transition over to news involving some moves been made so far in the NFL trade deadline. I mentioned about the New Orleans Saints and Marshawn Lattimore. Marshawn is on the move. Marshawn has been traded to the Washington Commanders. So Lattimore dealing with a hamstring issue right now, but I think once he gets healthy, I think he is going to pay off big dividends for the Commanders. So again, the Washington Commanders will receive Marshawn Lattimore, and in return, the Saints will receive multiple draft picks in this year's draft. So I believe it's going to be a third round, fourth round, fifth round, and a sixth round. So Washington, they get Lattimore, and in return, the Saints will get multiple draft picks. And also, while we're still talking about trades, the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys pick up wide receiver Jonathan Mingo from the Carolina Panthers. So the Cowboys will get Jonathan Mingo and a seventh-round draft pick. And in return, the Panthers will get a fourth-round draft pick. So, again, the Dallas Cowboys not being aggressive. Jonathan Mingo, serviceable, no issues with him, but I don't know. I mean, Dallas has had one heck of a season, and it just continues to go downhill. And I have more news on Dallas in just a moment. But again, the Dallas Cowboys will get wide receiver Jonathan Mingo from the Carolina Panthers, and they'll get a seventh-round draft pick. And in return, Carolina, they'll get a fourth-round draft pick. So only thing I can say is that from reading some statistics on him, he struggled much of the year. He struggled during his rookie year last year, and he struggled this year. I mean, they're playing for the Carolina Panthers. I mean, there hasn't really been a lot to celebrate in Carolina in quite some time. But the Cowboys get Jonathan Mingo. The jury's still out on that one. The Cincinnati Bengals will get running back Khalil Herbert from the Chicago Bears, and Cincinnati will get a 2025 seventh-round draft pick. So Cincinnati, they haven't lived up to the hype this year. All sorts of stuff has happened with them. They've lost a lot of close games. We'll see if they can turn it around between now and early January, but since Joe Mixon has left, they haven't had their identity in the running game. So Khalil Herbert, somebody that was dependable with the Chicago Bears, and now he moves from Chicago to Cincinnati. The Detroit Lions making big moves. They land defensive end Zadarius Smith from the Cleveland Browns. So Zadarius heads to Detroit. Also, Detroit will get a 2026 seventh-round draft pick. And in return, Cleveland will get round draft pick in 2025, and they also get a sixth-round draft pick in 2026. This was a big move for Detroit. Aiden Hutchinson, the all-world pass rusher, suffered a devastating injury against the Dallas Cowboys with the broken tibia. Detroit needed a pass rusher, and man, they got a good one in Zadarius Smith. Zadarius Smith, one of my favorite players, somebody that can get the job done, and he is definitely coming at the right time with one of the most red-hot teams currently in the NFL with the Detroit Lions. So again, defensive end Zadarius Smith heads to Detroit, and also going to Detroit will be a seventh-round draft pick in 2026, while Cleveland will get a 2025 fifth-round draft pick and a 2026 sixth-round draft pick. And as I mentioned earlier, of course, the Dallas Cowboys landing wide receiver Jonathan Mingo from the Carolina Panthers. Dak Prescott suffered a hamstring injury in the loss last Sunday to the Atlanta Falcons. And the report is that Prescott will miss multiple weeks due to the hamstring injury, and there's reports that Prescott may be put on injured reserve. And, I mean, you can basically, I hate to say this, but you can stick a fork in the Dallas Cowboys season. There was reports that Ezekiel Elliott didn't make the trip to Atlanta because he missed meetings during the week. So you've got some players that have checked out. You've got a multitude of injuries. Then you've got a player that missed meetings during the previous week. CeeDee Lamb suffers an injury to his shoulder, but he plans to play in the game this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. Dak Prescott suffered a hamstring injury in the loss against the Falcons. He's expected to miss multiple weeks, and they may put him on injured reserve. Man, this has been a dumpster fire of a year for the Dallas Cowboys. And I think it's about time that Jerry's going to have to let his sons handle all of the football decisions. Jerry can continue to do the business and the marketing and the public relations and get the money. He can continue to do that. But as far as football is concerned, no. The answer is no. It's time to relinquish those duties and let the rest of the family handle that. But Dak Prescott, Dallas Cowboys quarterback, has a hamstring injury, is expected to miss multiple weeks, and they may have to put him on injured reserve. So, Cooper Rush will be the Cowboys quarterback. Can he somehow save the season? Can he somehow give the Cowboys some momentum, maybe bring up the morale a little bit with the Dallas Cowboys? It's never a dull moment, and it's a soap opera that never ends.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.